Welcome to Marketplace with Charles. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skin Care, the company that brings out the beauty in you, and Kuisa Lodge, where dreams do come true from deep in the heart of Mabalingwe Nature Reserve, as well as Grace Farms, your #1 daily fresh produce. I am Charles Ngobeni. On Marketplace, we redefine your future by equipping you with tools that you need to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week, we bring you insight from experts in different fields of business, from wise men and women of great stature. On today's episode, we meet Mr. Louis de Abreu, a man of many talents. He is a preacher of the Word of God, a budding author, a mining engineer, or you can call him a surveyor, a fashion designer, and a manufacturer of a designer outfit. One of the most powerful business traits is being able to juggle multiple income streams. While this can be overwhelming to an amateur, it is a brilliant way of ensuring success in the playing field. It has been said that one should not put all his eggs in one basket, and that for a very obvious reason. Even King Solomon himself taught about exploring several business opportunities as well as offshore markets. My guest today will assist us in understanding this better. As some of the prophets will say, go deeper. Well, Louis, welcome to Marketplace with Charles.
Thank you very much, Charles, for having me, and good day to all your viewers.
Do you mind to tell us briefly about yourself and your brand?
So I'm married 23 years to my beautiful wife, Maria, and we have 2 beautiful children.
Every man of God says a beautiful wife.
Yes, that's true, because she is.
Okay.
I think that stability at home and marriage, successful marriage, being married for 23 years, I think that creates the foundation to any success in life. And if you have that foundation at home and you apply from there with that consistency outwardly, then I believe that you can succeed in anything that you set your mind to. And so I'm involved in the mining industry, as you mentioned. So I do surveillance systems, access control, high-end control room, furniture, fiber optics, wireless communication. Recently I got involved in this brand and creating a niche market. I found that there's a place for it. And most recently, my wife started a little patisserie business.
Look, if you say this business,
Yes.
you are transforming lives
Yes.
as much as you have transformed me today.
Yes.
But take me through your logo and the brand name.
So Almi Shore was something that was birthed out of a desert place. And by that I mean that sometimes we go through unexpected times and processes in our lives, and we kind of need to reset and look within and try and discover, what is back to basics. And Almi Shore was birthed out of, going on the internet, and I came across this bicycle, the penny farthing, and then I did a bit of a study as to who invented the first velocimeter, and it was a gentleman by the name Michaud. And then being a French name, I decided to put the L, because L is a French word that's an eloquent word when you address a gentleman. And then the whole slogan about it, it's a handcrafted journey, because we take you through a journey in terms of how we put the brand together and how we transform. Like in your case, we went through a whole array of choice of materials, inner linings, shirts, shoes, and hankies, and everything else that contributes to being set apart rather than being better than someone else.
And everything is personalized.
Indeed. So what I do is I present you with a few fabrics, because our motto is that we don't sell anything in a hanger. We actually take you through the journey, and you get to choose what you want on your hanger. So it becomes very personalized, and we got limited cuts of designs in fabrics, in shirts, in shoes. And then what we do is we grab a shoe and we hand paint it if you want to be that personal with what you're wearing, because it's about, I believe greatly that what you have on kind of says a lot of who the person is behind that suit. And I believe that can open a lot of doors, and it just sets you into a position that when you walk in, I believe that you need to make a statement.
My shirt,
Yes.
nobody can steal it.
No,
It's personalized
that's correct.
with a CN
That's correct.
for Charles Ngobeni.
That's correct.
And yours?
And mine is LA for Louis Abreu.
Wow. But tell me, Louis, how did you get yourself into this space where you explore so many opportunities?
That's a very, very important question, Charles, because many a times we're looking for purpose in our lives.
Yeah.
And I have found that the vast majority of people don't know what their purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't know what your purpose is, it becomes a very conflictuous question, and at the same time a very conflictuous answer, because we do not know. And if you sitting here and watching this program and you feel unsettled, that you're not happy where you're at or what you're doing, then that's a good indicator that you're not within your purpose. And the reason that happens is because we often confuse purpose with opportunity.
Yeah.
And many a times we are focused on the opportunity, because opportunity is always there. You know, the question arises, okay, so what is it in for me? How much am I going to get? Is my retirement plan in place? What house am I going to live in? What car am I going to drive? And so all those elements put together kind of misdirect us into the purpose, because the opportunity is all about you. It's about personal wealth, where purpose is about prosperity. And yes, prosperity does engage into wealth, and it's part of, because if we define prosperity, the first thing you read in the dictionary, it does relate to wealth. But it's also that intention of continuously wanting to do something meaningful to others. So if we look at the greatest leader that I believe that's ever lived in our generation, Nelson Mandela, today we're not discussing how many houses he has or cars, but we're discussing legacy.
Yeah.
So he left, his purpose led to legacy. And today, as we look at a great man that he was, we look at him from a purpose perspective. And I think if you find your purpose, and so I can literally tell you what everybody's purpose is. And I want to help aspiring businessmen and men that are in business, that purpose is the following. What grieves your heart is what God's caused you to change. And what you're passionate about is what God empowered you to empower others. So what grieves my heart? Every Friday, I make a point of going to an informal settlement, and I fill up my car full of fresh products, food, because what grieves my heart is to see poverty, to see little children suffering. And so I'm doing something to cause a change, to bring hope to children in our next generation. And what I'm passionate about, obviously, with this brand, is to empower other people, to give them an opportunity, to give them insights on how to create something from nothing.
No wonder you're so successful in your life. The secret must be in taking care of the poor. But having said that, Louis, what lesson have you taken home from your multi-involvement?
The greatest lesson, and I believe that I like to speak in narratives because there's always a story. And I think the most important thing in life is not to aspire to have more than someone, be better than someone, and to achieve and to get to a place better or faster. And I think that's an illusion that we all look at when we come to business. But the most important thing that I've learned is that if we find our place and we find that we belong there, then being first doesn't really matter. because then I'm in an environment that I found my place, I'm happy with who I am, and then I have an opportunity that it's not about what I have, but it's about what I carry.
Yeah.
And if I can carry something that I can impart into others, then in conclusion is I believe in championship, because if you're a champion, that you've mastered your place, then you've got nothing to prove.
Well, take me through hard work versus faith. Because most of the Christians who have got a lot of faith,
Yes.
but we don't see the results thereof at times.
Yes. Very interesting question. I always equate reality to faith. And sometimes the reality is that life is not always going to happen the way you project it to be. And I think what's important for us to know in our lives is that God has assigned us a race that's uniquely ours. We're not there to compete with anybody, but we're there to finish our own race. And Paul says it so beautifully when he says, I finished my race and I finished strong. And I think it's very important that when we're in our race, we will find obstacles, and obstacles are there to help you overcome so that you become stronger. But then you get interruptions, and life sometimes is full of interruptions. And I think interruptions come in to refine you, not to define you, because if you look at a diamond that's unearthed from the deepest soil down, kilometers down under the earth, when you unearth it, it's still a diamond. But it's rough. And once you refine the diamond, then its beauty exudes out of it. Yeah. And I think we all possess this diamond that God's birthed in us. What is important is that we allow the process. Because you see, a lot of us hate the process. But the interesting thing about process is that process is enamored with you. Process fell in love with you the first time it was assigned to you. And when you achieve the purpose of the process, the uncompromising purpose of the process, just remember there's another process eyeing you out.
Yeah. Well, you just remind me of the time of my early Christianhood when I was still a rough diamond.
Yes.
And now at least I'm a little bit polished.
Yes.
Louis, take me through the challenges that you have gone through in life and how you managed to navigate and come out of that.
I've lost everything 8 times.
Wow.
And it's not an easy thing. The reality, it's harsh. And we as human beings, our flesh hurts because we love our families, we love our children above everything. And the hardest thing for a parent is to say no to a child, even when he asks the smallest of things. But I've learned in my life through these processes of loss that you have to come to a time in your life when God is everything, because God is everything you need, because God is all you have. And once you achieve that purpose, and I say to a lot of young entrepreneurs, don't be afraid to dig into your hole, to climb into your hole. We all want to climb out, but nobody wants to climb in. And I think that, like a diamond, the greatest diamonds in life are found in the darkest of places. And I think that when you're really down there and you've come to a point of saying, okay, God, only you. Because remember, we're here for a purpose. Whether you're building towards the kingdom of God, whether you're building towards people's lives, impacting people's lives, you have to find that common purpose. And what I believe greatly is that when it comes to your race, I'm reminded recently of a great athlete that completed a marathon under 2 hours, set out as a world record. And what I noticed that was very interesting is that every 10 kilometers, he had 7 or 8 10-kilometer specialists to run with him to keep his pace so that he would eventually get to the finish line beyond the 2 hours. And what I've noticed that about 800 meters before crossing that line, he told the final group of 7 athletes to abandon him because he wanted to cross the line first. And many times we spend our lives towards other people's goals, running other people's races. We think it's a great idea that the module that works for one will work for me. You know, and many times we go around like machine guns,
Yeah.
slotting down all these bullets trying to hit the target, and we fail to do the most important thing in life, that is to stand back and observe. Because if you look at the sniper, when he looks at the target, it takes time to observe. It takes time to make sure that he's going to hit it. And I think that's the most important thing. Make sure that you're running your race. Make sure that it's about you. It's not about anybody else. You're not competing with anybody. God's assigned you for a purpose. Ensure that you finish strong.
Take me through the value of forgiveness. Like, you have lost everything 8 times, you said so.
Yes.
What is the value of first forgiving yourself, 2, forgiving those who have wronged you?
That's a very, very important question. When it comes to forgiveness, in the heart of the moment, when that thing happens, it's very difficult to dissect because we are emotional beings. And the first thing that bursts through all this is obviously anger. And I think that the greatest challenge for me was to forgive myself first, like you rightly said. And there's great reward in forgiveness. And I'm reminded of a little testimony that I bought a property, and I was going to build my dream house. And this gentleman, we signed an agreement, and I said, I'll give you a deposit. And I agreed that within months, then I'll settle the amount in full. And so it happened that my income wasn't coming in as per my contractual obligations. Yeah. And so I went back to him and I said, look, I can't fulfill the payment, but as a man of integrity, I'll fulfill every expense that's incurred in this property until such time I make full payment. Mm-hmm. To cut a long story short, it cost me 250,000 rands. Eventually, the gentleman, I found out that he had 2 attachment bonds to the property, so we couldn't transition the property over to my name. And a week later, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. So I was left with this decision, am I going to forgive this man or not? And it wasn't a difficult decision, because you see, it could just be that decision would be the offset of the scale, that he might not have made it to heaven. And I didn't want to carry that burden. Yeah. And so I forgave him, and I asked the Lord that he would give me the ability to create wealth. Mm-hmm. You see, wealth comes from hard work. Mm-hmm. God gives you the ability. God's not a bank. God's not a businessman. God is a rewarder. That's what God is. And when we look at life from that perspective and business from that perspective, I then went and purchased a property later on. And a year after the purchase, I wanted to make another investment. And the estate agent came to me and says, Louis, would you like to know what your property was bought for before you purchased? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, why not? I wanted to know as a businessman if I made a good deal or not. Turns out that the gentleman that sold me the property gave me a discount of exactly 250,000 of the 250,000 that I lost. You see, God rewarded the forgiveness. So I want to say this morning that there's great reward in forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Remember, God is always looking at your heart. Yeah. Because out of your heart is the purpose of all things. Mm-hmm. God always looks at your intention. Do you take a business, a client out for lunch because you want to have lunch, or because you want his business? See, there's always an intent of why we do things.
Oh, great. Well, Louis, we're running out of time, and we need to move a little bit quicker now. Yes. I want you to take me through some of your design and the inspirations around the design.
Okay. So when you come to my studio, and we got a website where we can, with today's technology, it's very easy, you know, to whether on Zoom, which is most popular, we can interact with a client no matter where he is. Yeah. And so what we do, for example, so I'll take a cut of material. Let's say the client has chosen this material, and then we take him through the process of all the accessories that he would like to wear that would go with the material. And one of the first things that we do, we take a shoe, right? Now this shoe, we got shoes that come in standard colors, But if the person wants something unique that creates his own identity, so what we do is we sit with the client and we say, these are the colors that we would advise. So for example, from this shoe, we would get to the same shoe that's now hand painted. Now this is a process that takes 2 weeks, and it's known as patina. Patina is a French-based name and actually means the art of hand painting when you come to paint a shoe.
And these paints, do they have any meaning?
This shoe is very interesting because this shoe, being a creative person, so this shoe is called Transition. And what I did with this shoe is that this front piece, the leather piece in blue, is actually the blessing that I started in with my life. And then the process of life came and I went through a desert to build character. And now I believe greatly that my latter blessing will be far beyond my former blessing.
Wow. So every shoe speaks.
Yes.
There's a story behind every shoe for every client.
Yes. And if a client tells me a story, I could imprint it. I can create identities, for example, with the shoe, and we can play around with souls. And we can create identity with souls.
And I saw another one the other day of Ferrari.
That's correct.
And for anyone who could not drive a Ferrari,
they can certainly walk on one.
Brilliant.
So it's very interesting, yes.
But Lou, tell me, do you have any idea of going retail, growing bigger, going across the borders?
Yes, and there's an opportunity for people around the world that if they would like to take this brand and represent this brand, there's definitely a great opportunity because it's very unique, it's very personal, and I think it's a great idea in terms of business. And, you know, fashion, it's always about identity. So if you want your own identity, we can help you create that.
Louis, you see, the stuff that I'm wearing now,
Yes.
I know it's upmarket.
Yes.
Do you have something for the middle class and the lower class? Have you considered that?
Yes, we do. Due to COVID, obviously it interrupted things and it's created delays. And I was in Europe during the whole pandemic when it came about. And there's definitely a market for those two sectors. And for El Michaud is a brand to cater, you know, for all sectors of the market. Because L stands for gentleman, L as in French, L for lady, L for little Michaud, and L for living Michaud. So we've created a brand that would cover all sectors of the market.
And if someone wants this stuff that you are wearing, and the beautiful suits that I'm wearing now, and the ones that I'll be wearing, how do they get hold of this?
Well, we've got a website, elmichaud.com. It's an online shop. It's got a chat box. So if you want to engage with us, we exchange, information. Like I said previously, there's technology, video technology that's easy accessible. And once we understand what the requirements of the client is, then we put everything together and we take it from there. So definitely everyone is more than welcome to access our website.
Well, Louis, thank you very much for gracing our studios. It was my pleasure having you.
It was mine too. Thank you very much, Charles.
There you have it. That was my great guest, Mr. Louis. From me, Charles Ngobeni, thank you for watching Marketplace with Charles, brought to you by Art of Skin Care, Kuwisa Lodge, and Grace Farms. Special thanks to Dr. Kone of Smiles to Wow for the insertion of active aligners to enhance our beautiful smiles on the show, as well as obviously Mr. L. Michaud for my great wardrobe. Let us meet again next week at the same time and same place for another power-packed episode. You may want to view the repeats of this program at any time by subscribing to Marketplace YouTube, Charles Ngobeni. I assure you that you will not regret that you have done just that. Do remember, you can get in touch with me on charlesngobeni.com. You may want to follow me on Instagram, Charles_Ngobeni, or even like us on Facebook page, Charles Ngobeni. See you next time, and God bless you.
This is Dr. Abraham S. Raj extending an invitation from our free Bible school, KBSM, and I want to encourage you to come and train, equip, activate, and be released into the ministry. We take you all the way from believer to leadership level to ministry level. Do you believe you have a calling? Then we have the answer to usher you into your destiny. Remember, our material and our broadcasts are available all over the world. We are fully correspondent and have several international students. So why waste any further time? Contact us today as we train you into that next level of your ministry. Remember, we are free. Bless you. See you at one of our campuses.